All right, what's up, guys? We are back with another podcast episode. This week is going to be a pretty fun one. We're going to do a little bit of a deeper dive on Pickleball or PB Vision because I've been using that a ton the last few weeks, and I just think more people should check this out. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a deeper dive on that. And then we're talking about a handful of paddles. A lot of these are either impressions from seeing them online or very quick impressions, like 10 minutes of hitting this morning. But we've got RPM paddles we're going to talk about, which is James Ignatowich's paddle company, Diadem BluCore Edge 18K, the Element 6 Zephyr, a new Adidas paddle, and then the bread and butter Locos, because now we have the production versions of those, and I actually just played a tournament with them this weekend. And then we've got some fun stuff in the kitchen, got some questions and answers, and some stuff about being a good partner for tournaments. So, all right, first thing we got to talk about, we have two things. Homework check, because I guess that's what this pod is now. We give out homework on this podcast. All right, we asked you guys to film something and tell us what you learned. So in the comment, let us know, did you film something? And what did you learn about the shot or whatever it was? And yeah, just let us know. I'm very curious to hear what you learned filming yourself. And there better be some comments down there.
This guy learned a lot over the weekend.
I did learn a lot of footage. Yeah, got a lot of footage of myself this weekend, that's for sure. And then question of the week is, what is the craziest on-court pickleball story you've had? Interaction with someone, something you heard, something you saw. I'd just love to hear your craziest pickleball story.
We've had so many.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of...
We've had so many insane stories. Remember, actually, throwback. This is a golden story way back. So remember, we were playing just at a public park, and you were hitting a spin serve, and a guy from across another court was like, you know that's illegal, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, nope, definitely not. And he just kept arguing back like how it's so illegal to do that, but it at the time was not.
I was like, bro, you're not even playing me.
Yeah,
I'm playing with my own friends. I was like, why are you so mad?
Why do you care so much? That was crazy.
After that point, I had legitimately considered getting parts of the rule book laminated and having it in my bag, because at the time, so many people were like, that's not legal. That's not legal.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, it is.
For the time, spin serve was legal. And honestly, make the spin serve great again. Bring it back. Bring the spin serve back.
Dude, I think it at the time I was like, this would be a fine thing. But I think now people would have gotten so ridiculous at it. Like, people would have been doing stuff with their hands to like work their hand down. People with huge hands would have, people would be hitting ATPs off serve so easily if you did one that kicked out wide or something.
Dude, I'm all for it.
It would have been interesting to see how it developed.
Opinion. I know it's unpopular opinion. A lot of people don't want it, but I think it would just make things more interesting.
Here's what I would say. For pros, maybe it could have been tolerable, but for amateurs, with so many of the courts at tournaments being tight, you definitely could do serves that would hit that wall before you could even touch it.
Look, this is like saying that Sinner's no longer allowed to hit a kick serve because it's too good. Sorry that I'm just good at hitting a specific shot. Like, sorry I trained and got good at this.
Yeah, but they've got 300 feet left and right of their court to run down a ball.
Just saying. Not every tennis dome or facility has a lot more space, Just saying.
All right. Okay, let's talk about Pickleball Vision or PB Vision. So we've talked about this before, but I've been using this a ton for chasing 5-0. I'm actually going to screen record my phone here.
Yeah.
Let me turn this on really quick. All right, phone is recording, so now there will be some B-roll. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, who haven't heard about this, and just to be clear, this is not, PB Vision did not ask me to talk about this. They did not pay me to talk about this. This is out of my own accord. That we do know the founder of it. He's from Minnesota, mm-hmm. So I know the guy and I give him feedback on the tool all the time, but not anything sponsored. Though, with how much I'm liking this tool, probably wouldn't mind a sponsorship at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's an AI tool that you can upload your games, and it will give you a ton of different things about your game. It'll let you filter shots. It'll give you stats about the game, like who was more consistent, where was the ball being hit, who was hitting speed ups. Like, you can get so many things out of this. Like, if you are... PB Vision is for someone who wants to be able to quickly review games and not have to go through an editing piece of software to cut out dead space, because it can also do that, so you can watch it without all the dead space, and just make finding things way faster. Like, with all the games I've been reviewing lately, it saves me so much time. In fact, one of the days I was like, I might be able to do something a little bit better myself if I do it in my editing software. So wrong. I literally went through, chopped the game. First of all, just chopping the dead space probably took me, I don't know, 5-8 minutes. And that's someone who edits video for a living. So like that's on the quicker side. And then after that, I was going to go through and start marking all of the different shots. Like, okay, here's when we're serving. Here's when we're returning. Here's when we hit a third drop. Here's when we hit a third drop. Dude, it would have taken me hours to do this. And I finally just gave up and was like, why am I doing this? I can just do this with PB Vision. So huge time saver if you're going to review a lot of games. But anyways, let me just go through some of the features that are really nice. So first, I'll start with game stats. So first thing you guys will see if you're watching the pod is there's a chart of all the players on the court. And there's red, which is like that person made some type of error. Hit it in the net, hit it wide, whatever, could be served, could be anything, just some form of error. And then green means it was generally a good shot. So just at a glance, you can already see like who on a team was more consistent that day on either side. Like maybe someone you should have targeted more, so that's kind of cool to see. And then you can scroll down and see the score. So in this game I'm showing right here, we lost 13-15. I actually think this was 12-15. PB Vision will get to this, but it does make some errors here and there. But anyways, then you go all the way to the bottom, and this is really cool. So it'll tell you the total number of rallies you had. So in this match, we had 65 total rallies. 28 of those rallies were at the kitchen. I assume that is with all teams at the kitchen. Actually, I can see, yeah, where all teams were, every player was at the kitchen. So 28 of those. And then I'll also tell you the average shots per rally, which I think is really cool. So this is kind of informed like some of my training, I feel like. So looking at this match, it was 6.5 shots per rally. And so you start thinking about training, right? People want to train these like oddly specific shots. Like I'm guilty of that. Like, oh, I really want this like backhand cross court roll, which fine shot to have. Not saying people shouldn't train that. But okay, if on average, this game, it only lasted 6. And most of my games, I would say if I'm in really good games, the rallies get up to about 10 balls per rally. Most of my games, 6 to 7 is about average. And so you're thinking about that. Okay, well, the first half of those shots are the serve, the return, and the third. So you're like, maybe I should put a lot of emphasis in those 3 shots. And even fourths. Fourths is something I've been practicing a lot lately. So like 4 of those shots, pretty darn important. And that's like more than half your rally at that point. And it'll also tell you longest rally, which is kind of cool. So anyways, after that, you can go to team stats. And this is pretty cool too. So it shows you a chart of both teams and then the percentage when you guys made it to the kitchen when you're serving, as well as when you're returning. So returning, it's basically going to be 100% for almost everyone, unless they're just missing returns left and right. But otherwise, the returning team should always make it to the kitchen. But the serving one is really interesting to me. So if we're looking at this match, I made it to the kitchen when serving 71% of the time. My partner, Mia, made it 67%. And then the other team, one of them was 89%, and then the other was 54%. So to me, looking at that, you're like, okay, the person 54% was probably the person to target a little bit more, right? Like they were making it to the kitchen less. So I think that's kind of an interesting stat. And when you scroll down, you can also see shot distribution. So like who was hitting more of the balls. So looking at ours, it looks like I was taking 60% of the balls. Mia was hitting 40%. And then the other team, it was closer to an even split, 54 and 46%. It'll tell you what side percentage you played. And then speed ups, you can see who was hitting more speed ups. Like it's just very interesting, like all these little metrics you can get. But to me, not even close. Well, actually, I'll do one more thing. You can also see individual stats. This is super helpful too.
I do like that it can tell you things that like you don't necessarily notice just by watching. Like it gives
you have to pay a lot of attention.
Exactly. Like if you're someone who doesn't watch a lot of film and maybe you don't know specific things to look for, or maybe you're not like super analytical on the strategy side.
Yep.
It will just tell you what you're doing well, what you're not doing well, without you having to really know.
Totally. And I think that's great because I'm getting better at it, but I'm just because I've been reviewing a lot of film. But when I started this, I was like, dude, I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm like, okay, cool. I hit a third bad, but now what?
Yeah, right.
But so on this, there's like a bunch of different metrics. It'll tell you like serve and drive speed, though like the speed on that is like a little interesting. I think it's more of like the average speed through the whole flight, whereas like radar guns are like off the paddle. So those numbers are going to be a little different than what you're used to seeing. But anyways, you can see filter by shot quality. So if we're looking at me here, also they have this cool 3D viewer where you can like zoom around the court. You guys will see this if you're watching. but you can see like in 3D where all of your third shots were going, or whatever shot. Like I could go to fourth shots, and then red means it was a bad shot, and then green was good. Fifth can do the same thing, and it'll also like give you a rating on shot quality, like how well it thought you did that. So if I actually do serves, it thinks shot quality was 80% for me, so not too bad. Then if I go down, it shows you court coverage, which is kind of cool on a heat map. And then what I think one of the most helpful things for me, when I was looking at our mixed quarterfinal match, which is the one we lost this weekend, I personally think we lost a lot of that match due to returns. Like our returns were not deep enough, and I think had we hit them deeper, we would have had a much easier time winning that match. Like I think returns were killing us. And if you look at this, my return depth, 77% of them were just middle of the court. I wouldn't call that terrible, but middle of the court, that's a pretty easy third, or you can tee off on the ball.
Against somebody who has a good drive.
Yeah, which they did. Yeah. And so like they were eating us up. And 15% of mine were deep, 7% were shallow. So like definitely should have done better there. And then my serve depth, about mid-court was 62% of the time, and then 38% were deep. So like all of those, just at a glance, that's awesome to be able to go, dang, my returns were not good. Now imagine like you're reviewing film yourself and you're like trying to go through all your returns and you're like, okay, that one was deep, that one wasn't deep.
Well, I'm trying to remember all of it.
Exactly. You're like writing it down. Like this is seconds. Like, I mean, I know I'm talking a lot here, but you could find this in a couple seconds.
Yeah.
Like this is one of the first pages I always go to when PB Vision finishes analyzing a match, and I just immediately look at it. So that's individual stats. But to me, the biggest, by far, not even close, best feature of PB Vision is the Shot Explorer. So you can, I'm going to tap on this filter, and you can then filter by player. So we'll just filter by me for now. But there's so many things you can filter by. Do you want to filter by forehand, backhand, or both? Do you want to go by ground stroke, volley, or both? You can filter by shot quality. Do you want to see only the shots you hit poorly? Do you want to see only the shots you hit well? There's shot window, which is like, show me, let's say you did fifth shot. You could say, show me the start of the point all the way up to the fifth, or show me 3 shots before that, 2 shots, 1 shot before. Like you can get very specific on where you want to see it. A lot of times I like to add a buffer. I'll do like 2 or 3 shots before so I can see the build up to how we got there. And same thing at the end. You can play it all the way to the end or not. But here's all the stuff you can filter by. Do you want to see smash, which is essentially an overhead, lob, dink, drop, drive, ATP, Ernie, speed up, reset. You can see your errors, net, out, pop up, rally sequence, serve, return, third, fourth, fifth, the last shot of the point. Like there's so many things you can filter by. So like for me, what I've been doing recently has been looking at a lot of my thirds. So I could filter by third. And if you wanted to filter even more, you could filter by drop and drive. So right here, it says I had 9 drops and 7 drives. So I'm just going to do, I'm even going to set this filter here. Let's just do drops. And then I'm going to go ahead and click apply. And now I can literally just click play. You guys will see this on screen if you're watching. And now it'll just cycle through all of my drops. And I can just watch all of these back like immediately, just on a couple of filters. Like it's so easy. And then I can consistently, if I thought thirds were my problem this tournament, I just go, boom, I'll just watch them all really quick.
Yeah.
Super nice. And then like you want it, you're like, okay, well, I'm done with that. I'm going to go back to filter and I'm going to say, nope, I don't want to see my drops or my thirds. I actually want to see my fourth shot. Boom. Click apply. And now I can watch all those. I mean, this has been super helpful for me. Like I got a little bit of coaching, and one of the things he was telling me was like, yeah, your fourths are just so weak. Like you just let them to the kitchen all the time. So I was like, okay, I'll be a little more aggressive about it. So I've been watching my fourths a ton and being able to just quickly be like, oh yeah, okay, I filtered by all of that, and now I'm seeing I'm doing it better. Mm-hmm. I imagine, I mean, back in the day, before like something like PB Vision existed, finding all of these shots was so annoying. Did I hit the fourth? Did my partner hit the fourth? You know,
well,
like,
it just speeds up the whole process by so much.
Yeah. So I just feel like if you're serious about improving and you're like a tournament player, I would say like, you know, rec players, I don't know, PB Vision I think would help, but I think it's best for people who like kind of already like to watch film and they really just want to cut down on the time, or maybe even find some flaws in your game. I think PB Vision could point that out really well, but not going to be for everyone. But dude, it's been saving me so much time. Like in the last 2 weeks, I've probably saved, I don't even want to know how many hours, 20 plus, 30 plus,
yeah,
like
so many hours.
Literally a full work week, I think, of just this. But anyways, you guys are saying this on the phone app. They also have a desktop. Personally, I like using it on desktop more than I do mobile. It's a little easier, I think. But mobile's great if I'm just on the go and I want to see things. And then I do want to just talk about, it's not perfect. So there's a couple things I've noticed using it. One, sometimes it labels the person wrong. So like I found that if you and your partner are wearing very similar outfits, like I've matched with some of my partners at tournaments, it will mix you guys up sometimes. So like I would filter by my third shots and then my partner's hitting it, but we're both wearing black, so it got a little confused. Still got most of them right, but I have noticed it'll get that wrong. Sometimes, like I had this happen yesterday, a ball rolled on the court in the middle of a point, and I think PB Vision didn't like really know what happened, so it gave a point to someone, and then it showed the next point, and so it's like, okay, well, a point didn't happen there, so it kind of got that wrong. Some small interface stuff could be cleaned up. I've just noticed like little quirks here and there that are kind of hard to explain, but just like, I wish the interface did this a little bit better. And then like sometimes the score will be wrong, I've noticed, by like 1 or 2 points. So it's not perfect. Like if you guys are expecting like, oh my gosh, this is just going to do everything perfect, it won't, but it does 90% of it.
I'd say the things that are important, it does well.
Exactly. Like, okay, I don't really care if you got the score wrong. Yeah. And like maybe you got 1/3 wrong.
But you already know the score of the match.
Exactly.
So the only things I would use it for, or I do use it for, is like just specifically finding my errors. Like, what am I doing wrong? You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very, very helpful for that. Especially if you have a partner you're going to play with consistently, like I am. It just helps a lot to be able to like send it to them, because you can also share links. That's a nice thing about this. Like you can click share, send it to your partner. They can watch this and then look at it. Like it's awesome. It's not just something you have, right? Like if I edit a video, I could upload it, but I don't know. There's just so many ways to filter and look through it. It's just really good. So anyways, that's kind of the breakdown of PB Vision. I'm going to go quickly over the pricing, because I think this is an important aspect of PB Vision that's important for people to understand. So currently they have 2 ways of doing this. I guess for a limited time, they're doing like you can get 10 credits for $25. So each game would be about $2.50. So you can get 10 credits, which is each game is a credit, or they have like a subscription model. So they have the starter, which is priced at $180 annually, I believe. You get 10 gigabytes of free storage. You can view your videos at 1080p, 30 frames a second, and then that gives you 60 credits, which is about $3 a game. And I did do a test really quick, just for people curious. I filmed a clip in 1080p, 30 frames a second on my phone, and it was about roughly 200 megabytes. So I think if my math is right, you could upload about 50 games before you'd have to start clearing some games out. So just be aware of that. And then premium is unlimited video storage. You can view at 4K 60 FPS, which is how I upload all my games. 60 FPS is nice because if in the video player, you can play it back at half speed. Sometimes it's just smoother. It's just easier to see in slow motion. It's just nicer. So personally, I really like that. Might not be important for everyone, but it is nice. And then that gets you 180 credits. And I believe the price for that is like basically $400 annually. So I think it's $396 is what it actually is, which is about $2.20 per game. So most of you out there, personally, I'd start just with like the 10 credit, $25 thing.
Just try it.
See if you like it. $25, not that bad. If you decide it's not for me, you just be done with it. Come back at another date. But personally, I would 100% pay for this. And I do. So they did give me credits for this. I told them, because they revamped the pricing system, and I was just texting the guy, and I was like, I think they made some updates. And I was like, hey, these are awesome updates. I was like, this is just in time for the pricing. Because I was like, I'm about to upload a butt ton of games to this thing. And they're like, oh, we'll just like give you some like credits for it or whatever. Like, you don't have to talk about it, whatever. But disclaimer, they did give me credits. But I'm telling you right now, even if I didn't have the credits, I would 100% pay for this. If I run out of the credits, I'm buying this.
Just based on the amount of time it saves, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah. For right now, it's 100% worth it to me. So I don't know. Again, like I said, for a lot of you out there, I don't know for everyone. But if you're really trying to improve, I think it's a massive asset. And $2.20 per game or $3 per game, really not that bad. And you can try it with the limited credit. So anyways, I just want to talk about that because I've been finding it massively helpful. And, with there being a time crunch to hit 5.0 by the end of the year, stuff like this is saving me a lot of time.
Yeah.
Instead of sitting there for 4 hours reviewing games, I can go drill some footwork. So, okay. Anyways, that's PB Vision. Loving it. Now let's talk about some paddles.
All right.
Okay. First paddle we're going to talk about, we don't actually have them yet. They're on the way, but RPM paddles. So this is James Ignatowich's company. He left Selkirk, started his own paddle company, and I'm going to hold all judgment till I have the paddles. Okay. This is just my early thought of what I know about the paddles. But I'm surprised by the amount of buzz these paddles have gotten because, to my understanding, these are essentially just a Pro 4 clone.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure there's some tweaks like a face layup, or maybe there's a little bit of extra foam or a little bit less foam. But like, to my knowledge, it is a Gen 3 paddle that is built like a Pro 4. Nothing wrong with that, but we've seen this a lot at this point.
It's going to be very similar. It's not going to be exactly the same, but can't imagine it's going to be that much better than just a Pro 4.
And I think the thing that surprises me a little bit right now when I'm thinking about it is, okay, you have a brand new company. Obviously, you've got someone like James who's like well-known in the industry. It's not like you've just got someone no one knows, right? Okay, that helps. Sure. Establishes a little bit of credibility, a little bit of trust. But the price of the paddle is $250. And my understanding right now is the warranty is 6 months. So I'm like, okay. Now, I believe they do some discount codes, so that probably means you can get it down to about $225. But okay, $225, 6-month warranty. With Yola, you go up like $60. You get a 1-year warranty and 3 replacements. That for Gen 3s where you know they're going to break, at that point I'm like, I don't feel like it's cheap enough, right?
Yeah.
You've got a bunch of cheaper alternatives in the Gen 3 category at this point. You've got the Fury, and I keep seeing stuff pop up all over Instagram of people just basically copying a Pro 4 at this point of a Gen 3. I actually saw one that was literally just like an Agassi clone.
That one was crazy.
Couldn't have been more blatant if it tried, honestly. I was kind of insane to me. Friday Fever, it's not going to, that is definitely more in the all-court category, so I guess I don't know if I'd put that in the same tier, but it's $100, right? Like, there's a lot of Gen 3 paddles at a lot of different price points at this point, so $250 from a brand new company and a 6-month warranty, it's just kind of a hard sell for me.
The only thing I understand, it's a formula that he knows people like. So people, when they hit it, are going to like it.
Yeah.
And maybe just kind of banking on the fact that since his name is attached to it, it's already generating buzz, so it's clearly working.
Yeah.
And people have been using it and liking it. I think I saw Casey Diamond won like some Moneyball or some tournament with it. And I know Ryan Fu, Max Freeman are going to use it. So I know people are going to like it. I mean, if you like a Yola, you're going to like the RPM paddles.
Right. And it sounds like they do play a little different. I feel like what I've heard is it like maybe plays a little bit soft or something, but still hits pretty hard. But like, I don't know. I know there's still a market for Gen 3 paddles. I'm not saying they're dead. I'm not saying they're like leaving right this second, but it's just at $250, I'm like, we know these break.
Yeah.
Like,
that's the hardest part about it is the fact that they've been around for long enough to we know the limitations on durability. And I'm not going to say nobody, but it's pretty close to. No one at the moment has been able to figure out or crack the durability thing. Yeah. So what's going to change now? Yeah. You know? So it's just bound to happen with Gen 3 style paddles. They will core crush. And like you said, only having 6-month warranty is a tough sell
at a premium price.
Exactly. Yeah. What's stopping you from going to Yola and having a better warranty?
Even look at Engage. I haven't gotten to hit this one yet, but they have a Gen 3 style paddle now for a similar price. I want to say it's $250, $260. Might even be it's around there, and it has a lifetime warranty.
Yeah. Or even at this point, the Era is become so popular. The
$200.
$200.
Yep.
Pretty sure better warranty than 6 months.
Yeah, 1 year.
Yeah. So you save $50, get double the warranty. And I mean, obviously I haven't hit it yet, but I gotta imagine they're gonna feel pretty similar. So
we'll see. I'm going in with an open mind, but like that's the initial thoughts. Like as I'm seeing this, is I'm like,
I will say I really want to like it.
Sure.
Like I like James. I've always enjoyed watching him. He's a fun player to watch.
I liked James. Until a comment he made the other day. I was, I don't get to listen to a lot of the podcasts these days, but I was like, oh, John did one with him. I was like, let me just check this out. And I still haven't finished it. There was one comment. I immediately texted James. James, I know you're listening to this podcast. You said you listen. John was like, man, that's a lot of podcasts, because James like, I listen to all of them. And then he said, yeah, I usually listen to them at like 1.25 speed. He's like, but I can't do Chris's at 1.25 speed. It's like his voice just gets unbearably high at that speed. And I immediately texted him and said, I will remember this. I will remember this.
Bro, I listen back to the pod when I'm editing at like 2.5 times speed.
I know. But I thought that was funny.
Oh yeah. Now, here's the thing. I will give James credit. He clearly has spent a lot of time researching paddles. He knows a lot about paddles. Like, he's not just some random pro who decided, let me just, reach out to a factory and make something. Like, he's torn down every paddle he can get his hands on. He knows all the materials. He knows the makeups. Like, they've clearly done a lot of work and research. So I'm not trying to say they just copied somebody else and said, let's ship it. But that's kind of what it's looking like.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say it's kind of what it looks like.
We don't know until we get it. But just by seeing it, I do want to like it.
Sure.
So, but I'm not going to let that persuade me.
Yeah, for sure. And I just have to laugh at this. I'm going to have you pop this graphic up on screen for everybody. But when I saw the design of the RPM, I'll show you. I was like, this looks really familiar. I was like, why does this look so familiar? It's literally the Yola 3S, but the graphic is flipped.
It is very, yeah. They definitely, I do think they could have put a little bit more work into. Now, okay, I think I understand why. I want to say I heard James on a podcast or live stream or something somewhere say that they paid someone on Fiverr to design the paddle.
Well, maybe don't let them copy the Yola.
I bet the guy on Fiverr. Now, again, don't quote me on that. I think I heard that somewhere. I can't say with 100% certainty. But if that's true, I guarantee this guy on Fiverr probably just looked up the Yola and said, "Oh, we'll just do this and mirror it." Like, I do think they could have put a little bit more work into the design.
I just don't think it helps. It doesn't help beat the allegations of like, hey, we just like made another version of a Pro 4 when you've got like the same design and then the internals are like very allegedly similar.
Yeah. So what's the lineup? They have a 16 millimeter elongated
16 and 14. And then I think there's a wide body 16 and 14.
Okay. So 4 paddles at the moment.
That's what I believe it is. Yeah.
Got it. And we've got a Perseus shape and a Scorpio shape.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pretty much. So, we'll see. James,
we're giving you a hard time, but
you know what? James got to make fun of me all these years for just various things. Now you're on the flip side. Now we'll check your paddle out. And
I will say, throwing it way back, you and Will played James 1v2, and he beat you guys. And then Will and I played James 1v2, and we beat him.
Yeah, well, now that he's about to become a paddle nerd, maybe I'll be able to beat him. He'll be doing what I've been doing for the last 4 years.
True.
So anyways, those are the RPM paddles. We'll keep you guys updated as we hit them. I'm definitely curious. I want to say they're probably going to show up today after we finish this podcast is my guess.
Yeah, but unfortunate timing.
Yeah, we'll keep you guys posted next week. I'm definitely curious to hit them.
For sure.
And then next up, I do have this one. Why not? So Diadem had new paddles come out. So as many of you probably remember, the original BluCore, that kind of flopped. That was a rough launch.
The original BluCore was that.
I would say that was of foam paddles released this year. That was in more of the flop.
That was a paddle only the creator could love.
Yeah, that was not a great paddle. But they released a new one, or is coming out here shortly, is the Diadem Blue Edge Core 18K. And this one, basically, it's a power model. This is essentially what they were going for. We'll pop up a picture on screen, but essentially EPP core center, the very thin EVA ring, and then the usual thermoformed edge ring that people are used to seeing. And then like near the throat here, there's like another EVA insert. It'll be easier if you're looking at the pictures to see it. But it is a different core design than what we have seen from other companies so far.
Yeah.
And we hit these today. It comes in an elongated, which is the Pro. Then it comes in a hybrid, which is called hybrid. Thank you, Diadem, for...
they fixed that one.
Bless up. They got the names right. So that was great. Very easy. So elongated, which is the Pro, hybrid, which is the hybrid, and then they have a 16 and a 14. We hit both of them briefly this morning. The 16, I'll let you go first, and then we can kind of go back and forth.
16 solid. I would say these are probably a bit on the denser side of foam, EVA ring, full foam core, or like dual foam cores. Just because it is a little bit thinner, it has less of that pocketing hollow feel, and I like it. It's almost like closer to a a Gen 2 stiffness feel with just added boost in pop and power. They're pretty poppy, I noticed, especially the 14s. The 16 I definitely preferred. It just had more plow through, felt a little bit more rigid. The feel off the face was just a little bit better than the 14s, and I think they don't need weight as much compared to the 14s. Ooh, that thing is...
Yeah, it wants to
fall. It really wants to fall.
I'm watching it.
But I liked it. I actually felt like they spun the ball pretty well, especially when dinking.
Yeah, agreed.
On the forehand dinks, I was shaping it quite well. Drives felt really good, and block like punch volleys and just swinging volleys were quite nice.
Yeah, I mean, I hit one and I was like, whoa, that came off way harder than I was expecting.
Yeah.
I think hitting them so far is interesting. Some of the like way you were describing it, again, we're hitting a handful of paddles this morning. Each paddle is, between like 5 and 10 minutes probably hit time. So this is not like an exhaustive, in-depth thing. But at least for the 14 feels very like flimsy or like flexy to me. Like when you miss, it just feels like the 14. If you're going to buy that 14, it needs weight. Don't even consider this if you don't want to add weight. Like I was within a couple hits, I was like, okay, this paddle is not for me stock. Like there's no way. The 16, I didn't mind as much. I'd probably still add weight.
Yeah.
But it was definitely better stock.
It's so funny
14.
You feel that way because I feel that way about the 14 as well. Mm-hmm. I think it's just flimsy and it doesn't have enough weight behind it. But it's funny because you don't like that, the 14 of this. But that's how I describe the Opal, and you like the Opal.
But it's almost like a different flex. Like it's almost like I don't know how to explain it. It's like I don't know how to explain it. But yeah, that 14, like the Opal, I could hit and be fine with for the most part. This,
don't get me wrong, the Opal and this, I'm not a fan of either.
Sure.
The 16, I like. The 14s of the BluCores, not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
But the 16s were good, and I do think they would also be improved with weight, and also just some random side thing. One, I actually think the design of these is quite nice. I think they're
I think clean, they did good with the design. Yeah,
clean looking, but they have these weird like little rubber windows. I don't know if you can see this on my camera. My camera's blacked out. Fixing that real quick. Okay, there we go. Now I can see these little rubber windows that show the BluCore on the inside. I think that's a neat little design. And then they still have the butt cap that's clear to see the core. So cool little design feature. I will say the sweet spot on the 16 was solid. It was good. I didn't have any complaints on the sweet spot. I'd say it's fairly comparable to the other paddles we've been hitting. I'd say kind of like Wiesel range. Maybe not quite as big as like maybe the Boomstick or the Loco.
Not a Boomstick, yeah.
But it was solid. The 14 was much tighter, especially without weight. I think that would improve it, but it was definitely a much tighter sweet spot on the 14.
Yeah, for sure. And just real quick stats on these: the BluCore, but actually both the 16 and 14, for whatever reason, for the elongated, they were the same exact swing weight.
That was a weird one. Yeah, 117. That was weird when I was putting those, getting those stats.
Don't see that often. And then the hybrid, the 16 was 115 and the 14 was 112. For those of you who care, twist weights, nothing special across the board. Very low 6 for the elongateds, and then the hybrids were like high 6 for the 16 and mid 6 for the 14.
Yep.
For those curious.
So these are 250?
Yeah, so these would be 250, and they are doing codes now. Diadem historically hasn't really done codes, so I think code PB Studio will bring it down to 225 because I think it's a 10% code.
Okay.
So, and I think that's it's interesting that they went down. It's not often you see a company come down in price, so I feel like that also kind of shows that maybe the last BluCores at 280 were not the biggest hit in the world. But appreciated seeing it go down, right? We'd rather see it go that way than up.
So they didn't make a standard shape in these?
Nope.
Interesting choice. I mean, I'm not complaining. I'd say that's wow, Diadem's making smart moves out here.
That's not a smart move at all. And in fact, that's a flop. Just kidding. But yeah, it's just those two shapes, 250. And I feel like the 16 has some potential. I would definitely be curious to see the 16s more. Yeah, for sure.
These are solid. I mean, I could go play a tournament with these and feel totally fine.
I think the thing for me that I'm like trying to think right now from my initial impression is I don't know that I think it's a good paddle. I just don't know if it did anything that like really wows me over some of the current foam paddles that like I'm really enjoying, right? Boomstick, Loco, Quanta, like I could see where someone would pick this up and be like, oh, I like this more than the other ones. For me, I don't know if I'm there yet. But.
It's one of those, it not necessarily wins you on value, obviously. The Quanta, the one of the next paddles we're going to talk about, and the V-Sol, obviously better. But I think where it wins is the different feel and feedback it gives. Because those are very hollow, pockety, like springy
Gen
feels.
3, thuddy.
Yeah, where this is a much stiffer, if you're more used to Gen 2 paddles, more rigid feel, but adding that pop and power, I think you'd probably feel more comfortable with this.
I really want to go hit these again because I feel like stiff and rigid was like not the word that was coming to my mind, but maybe I'm remembering it wrong.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a ball down here to like bounce and confirm.
Interesting. I just think it has it definitely like denser and less springy feel to it. And I mean, maybe it's not necessarily stiff, kind of like how the Boomstick has a like stiff feel.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not as hollow feeling.
And I think this is why also like this is a total side topic, but this is why I think, I always say with first impressions, you should always take them with like a little bit of grain of salt, which is what most of the talk today is first impressions minus one paddle, is because like this is why we play test the paddles as long as we do. Like week and a half, 2 weeks is like, no, you probably don't need that long, right? Like I'd say at about a week, probably have the paddle figured out. But these are the types of things you like squash within that time frame, right? Like our disagreement here, I may agree if I went back out and hit it for like a couple more days and was like, oh, okay, now that I've hit it with a couple other paddles, right? So I think first impressions when you're testing a handful of paddles can always be like a little bit of a tricky thing. So
yeah, for sure.
So I would say, take things with a little bit of grain of salt.
So I definitely think these are a bit on the expensive side, but I definitely can see people liking it. And it's definitely not a slouch in the performance realm, where I feel like Diadem has kind of lacked a little bit with some of their previous paddles, where it's like, okay, these are really expensive and performance is a little behind.
Yep.
Where these are definitely expensive, premium price, but they perform well. Like it's not like there's anything holding it back where it's like, ooh, I wouldn't spend your money on this because of X, Y, or Z.
Yep.
So if you like how it looks and you like the sound of how we're describing it, I think if I let somebody demo it and they said they liked it, I wouldn't have a hard time recommending, like, say, like, ooh, don't spend your money on
for
this,
sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Completely. Like the old 008, or not old, earlier this year, 008 and BluCore, I'd be like, I don't know about that one.
Yeah,
you sure about that one?
Probably not worth your money, where these, it'd be fine. Definitely a lot to spend, but wouldn't feel like a waste of money, where the 008 and the original BluCore were.
Completely agree. Okay, next thing I want to talk about really quick is, so Adidas has a new paddle. They also signed a pro player. They're signing multiple. I mean, they have Xiaomi now.
Yep.
But they also just signed CJ Klinger.
CJ, he left Proton.
Didn't see that one coming.
That was like out of nowhere.
Yeah, I just feel like he seemed really close with the Proton guys, so I don't know if it was a money thing or what the deal was there. But they have a new paddle. It looks to just be a Gen 3 polymer paddle. No surprise there. I mean, all their pros are going to want that, right? Seems like if you wanted to appease the masses, drop the bolt system, which the pros can't even use, and then make a Gen 3 paddle.
I mean, it just seems that like for the pro level and these guys, all of them agree. They all like the YOLO.
Yeah.
And if you're a company and you have or want pros, you're going to give them what everyone likes, right? RPM and Adidas.
Yeah.
Everyone's asking for just a Gen 3 style paddle, copy the Yola. Like they paved the way for these pros.
Yeah.
And everyone likes it. And pros are
the Jolt, Pro XR.
Exactly. A lot of them are very picky, and once they find something they like, they don't want to switch off of it. So, yeah, it makes sense. All these companies who have signed pros are just going to give them copies of the YOLO or give them a Gen 3 style paddle because they all like it and they're all used to it.
The Adidas is a pretty interesting design, though. I will say of a lot of Gen 3s I've seen, and I'll have you flash a picture on screen for everyone. I'll send it to you later. But actually, I just have it on my phone here. I will just show it to you really quick so you can see. But it's like, imagine a Gen 3 polymer paddle, but meets honeycomb. It reminds me a lot of the NF. So like, look at that.
Yes. Yep. That is very NF-like.
So it's Similar to an NF, the EVA ring doesn't go all the way. It's not a full floating core. And then there's an interesting, like, pretty big portion of the top is cut out of foam instead of polymer. So it's a very interesting
Can I say that
design.
again?
Yeah.
Real quick. The only concern that I'm going to have, it's interesting that the ring of foam, like, doesn't connect at the top corners.
Yeah, it's like a separate block.
That is really weird. The only concern I have, and I noticed this with a buddy of mine who's playing with the Pegasus Power, the EVA ring, he hits really close to the top. Like when he hits overheads, he basically hit not on the honeycomb, basically on the EVA ring. And he actually cracked the face layers of his paddle, and it started hitting way harder. And flexing a lot more. And so the paddle was toast. It was broken.
Sure.
And so with more foam at the top and more like surface area, I'm just afraid that the face layers are like the carbon fiber is actually going to crack.
Well, I guess we'll see. I mean, I know some pros like to hit up there. I mean, or just higher level people like to hit near the tip. So
yeah,
we'll see. But yeah, it's a very interesting design. Haven't really seen someone do that yet.
Does the foam go through the handle?
No. Doesn't.
Okay, it looked like, okay, I'm just looking at a different angle. It looked like the foam went through the handle.
Nope. So anyways, price $189, not a bad price point for a company that large to be at $189. Comes in a 16 millimeter and a 14 millimeter. They have a wide body version, it looks like, on the website that has a C in the model name. It's like, I believe the model of this is just AdiPower Pro Edition, and then it's like AdiPower Pro Edition C. But I don't know if, and they're calling it Control, but I don't know if they're just calling it Control because it's a wide body or if it's actually a different design. Looking at the website, I wasn't under the impression that it was actually a different anything other than the shape. Look, wide body paddles are not just Control. Don't let these pros brainwash you. Don't let Isaac brainwash you.
I was going to say the C was for something different, but that was a little too mean. I'll reserve that for myself.
All right, then. I did notice an interesting thing on the website. This is the first time I've ever seen a company actually say this in pickleball. Because it's interesting because in tennis this happens all the time. But it says, professional athletes may use custom, prototype, or pro stock models not available for retail sale. The AdiPower Pro Edition is the commercial version engineered with similar performance DNA. So I just thought it was kind of interesting that they were like, hey, look, our pros might be using something a little bit different.
Interesting.
But yeah, that was interesting. So anyways, I'm not going to be surprised if this is finally the paddle that Adidas has that it's good enough. You know, right? Like, I can't imagine this really got screwed up or is really that bad. Could you make some arguments about like value and all these types of things? Yeah, sure. But I can't imagine this is anywhere near like what some of the metal bones have been in terms of performance. I'm sure it has to far exceed that.
Yeah.
So I actually kind of want to hit these. I'm like curious to see how they perform and if they perform very different from a lot of Gen 3 paddles. So anyways, you ready to move on? All right, so one paddle we do want to talk about that kind of caught our attention this morning when we were playtesting was another Element 6 paddle. So this is the Zephyr, I believe is how you say that. So basically, this is just supposed to be my understanding of it. I don't have any pictures of it. I got an email like a couple days ago, and then we hit it this morning. So like information's a little loose for me. Price is $139. I believe it's $125 after a code. It's another EPP core EVA ring paddle. I don't know what style. I don't know if it's a full ring. I don't know if it's a partial ring. I don't know because the email didn't say before we got to hit this. But what I will say is you and I both hit this morning, and we were actually pretty pleasantly surprised.
Shockingly impressed.
Like, it's, again, you know, it's not winning any design awards. It's
definitely not.
Definitely looks like something that was, you know, like the design looks like it was kind of from Alibaba. But we're not here to win a design awards. We're here to win performance awards.
Yep.
And that is where this thing actually kind of kicks some butt.
Solid.
I was actually pretty surprised.
Yeah.
I feel like, again, this is very early impression, but if I'm comparing it against the other $100 EPP floating core paddles right now, I actually think out of the box, this one probably impresses me the most.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, I'm trying to think what, I think my, out of the box, what would my order be for the $100 right now? I think it would be this on top.
I know mine.
I think it would be the Vsol Pro. Then I think it would probably be the Vsol Power and then the Quanta on the bottom. And this is no weight. I'm talking purely out of the box. Once you add weight, my order shifts quite a bit. Quanta would probably go on top for me if weight is factored in. But yeah, out of the box, like this thing was pretty nice.
Straight out of the box, I was shocked because it feels. We don't have stats and numbers on it right now, but it doesn't feel heavy. Swing weight's got to be 112 or 113. It can't be that high, and it felt really solid. Didn't feel like it was twisting in my hand a lot. Sweet spot.
The stability seemed better out of the box than most of the other ones.
Stability was definitely better than like the V-Sol or definitely the Quanta, and the power even without weight. Like my drives,
they were pretty
moving.
big. Yeah.
It was crazy. So it spun the ball pretty well. Nothing like crazy there. Hands pedals, it felt really good. The pop was high. So it is a little bit more expensive than the other ones, not by a ton. But I think if you're someone who really doesn't like to use weight and you're looking for the cheapest, best EPP, EVA ring foam paddle, this is probably your best bet. But the downside is pretty sure it only comes in this shape, which is a hybrid.
Yeah. I don't believe it comes in any other shapes right now. So that's where the other companies have like a pretty big leg up.
Yeah, that's its biggest disadvantage.
Rhombus and Vatic have every shape you could want.
Yep.
So I think if you already own a V-Sol, you already own a Quanta. No, I would not tell you to go buy this. If you own an NF, like it's not so much better than all of those that I would go buy it. But if I'm stacking them up all out of the box right away, I'm like, yeah, this holds its own, and it holds its own in a really good way. I don't know that it would be, from the early impression, like, I don't know that it would dethrone a boomstick for me. I don't know that it would dethrone a Loco, but those are also more expensive. So if you're very price conscious, this is a good option.
Yeah. I'd say this is definitely closer to the feeling of like a Loco without weight.
Sure. Compared to the other ones?
Yes, compared to the other ones. Like out of the V-Sol Quanta, this is the closest stock to, because I think boomstick basically comes pre-weighted.
Yeah.
So, and that one's obviously the most expensive. So comparing it to the Loco that comes unweighted is definitely cheaper than a boomstick. It's in the middle of all these foam pedals, right?
Yeah.
I think this comes the closest to feeling as good as a Loco, but then the downside is you don't have the shape options.
Yeah, right.
So
it's
solid though.
Yeah, I'd definitely be curious to see some more time on it. This one was solid, and I'm sure my prediction is by the end of the year or early next year, every single company is going to have some form of EPP. It's going to be like the next style of Gen 3.
100%.
Clearly, we know this works well for foam. We've already got them. Shockingly, at a very wide range of prices. Normally, it takes a little longer, I feel like, for it to trickle down.
It's practically impossible to make a bad one at this point. If you follow this formula, they're all going to feel good.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. That's kind of our early thoughts on it. Definitely holds its own. I think for the price, they did a great job. Whether or not it, like in a full review, it beats everything else, not sure yet. But, yeah, I was impressed. I feel like a lot of times, when you get a paddle like this in the mail, you're kind of like, I already know what to expect. Like, it'll be fine, but like, whatever.
Yeah, bouncing a ball on it wasn't impressive. It didn't have like some crazy sound or anything, or didn't feel really poppy.
Yeah.
But then once you started hitting with it, pop was definitely high. Power was good. Stability was solid. So
I think that's what stood out to me the most was probably the stability just out of the box.
Yeah, for sure. And the shape is, like you said, hybrid. And if you've hit like a double black diamond, very similar to that. So that's what I'd expect.
Yeah. Okay. Last paddle I want to talk about this week. So we finally got the bread and butter Loco production models in.
Yeah.
I'm just going to hold up the wide body so I don't have to put all three up here. But
you grabbed the worst one.
No, this is the best one. The wide body. You'll understand when you're older. You know what? I remember when I was young and dumb too, and then I got wise. Okay. So production models. So I've been waiting for these to do a full review. I don't love doing stuff off pre-production models, so I was waiting for one of these to come in, and we finally got them. And I was testing it a couple days before the tournament I had this weekend, which was an open division tournament. I've been using the boomstick, as many of you know, and I've just played some games with this because I should get some footage for the review, start getting some thoughts on this. And I was like, dang, I actually really liked how this played. And I was like, well, I guess we might as well just send it this weekend. I was like, I liked it enough to where I didn't feel like it was going to be a hindrance if I switched from the boomstick to this.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. And in fact, there are actually attributes about this that I like a little bit more. I think both the boomstick and this are very appealing in different ways. Boomstick, definitely higher pop off the face. Drive speed, honestly, wouldn't say there's a gigantic difference. I feel like maybe the boomstick has an edge, but they're not that far apart. But what it lacks in that pop, you make up for in control. So I felt like there's certain balls where I could like just feel it off the paddle a little better, whereas like the boomstick is a little tingier, really stiff. This just, I feel like it like absorbs the ball in the way that I can like feel it coming off the paddle a little bit better. I kind of know what's happening better. So it was nice in that way, like resets. Actually, in fact, one of the sessions I went and played the day before the tournament, the group I was playing with was like, dude, your resets are ridiculous today. And I don't know that was all the paddle, right? Like, you know, hopefully I'm just getting better as a player too. But other people noticed it. And I feel like when other people are saying something about my game, it, you know, says something. So thought that was great. I did put weight on this. I did, you know, what I've been messing around a lot with these days on a lot of these paddles. I did 2 gram per inch lead tape, and I did 5 grams on each side. So this is 10 grams on the paddle, not 15. I think 15 would probably be a little bit overboard for this, but that gave it a really nice boost. The sound actually changes pretty much immediately when you add weight, kind of like it does on the Quanta, kind of like it does on all these EPP floating core paddles.
Yep.
It just gets like a louder, deeper thud. Like everything about it, once I had the weight, just felt better. Like it felt like pop was nicer. I don't know, just everything about the paddle felt like it played a little bit nicer once it had the weight. But playing with it this weekend, I was a fan. I had nothing to complain about. I wasn't like, oh man, I really want to go pull out my boomstick. Like I'd have a game that if I played bad, and I wasn't like, oh man, like the paddle, like, you know. So I'm a big fan. I actually think right now, maybe next week or something, we need to do like a ranking our favorite foam paddles now that it's like kind of cooling off a little bit and we're like stabilizing a little bit more.
We have a good pool of them.
Yeah, we have a good pool of them. Like this and boomstick are definitely like top 3.
These have the boomstick and this have ever since we got a bunch of these foam paddles have definitely been my top 2.
This is probably the literal only time in all of history since we have played pickleball that you and I have almost identical preferences for mains.
It is kind of crazy.
Like you and I have never even really come close to matching. Paddles I love, you hate, and then like I don't necessarily hate the paddles you've liked, but it wasn't like
The only time I can think of was the double black diamond. We both did like that. The downside was I just didn't like the shape. It only came in the hybrid shape.
Oh, sure.
So, but I liked how that paddle played. I always said back then that I would have used it if it came in elongated shape.
Oh, okay,
but
gotcha.
Other than that, yeah, we've always been very polar opposites on paddles. But now it's almost identical.
Boomstick, Loco.
Boomstick and Loco flop back and forth between 1 and 2 for me. And the main reason at the moment I'm probably going to be using the boomstick more is because qualifiers.
Yeah.
I'm going to be playing a bunch of the qualifiers through the end of this year, and hurts my heart. I can't use the Loco. It's not UPA approved. Otherwise, the Loco would probably be my number 1 and main. I would say my main paddle at the moment, I would say, is the Loco. Playing local stuff. If I'm going to go play serious rec games right now, it'll probably be with the Loco.
Sure.
But it's just not UPA approved. So
yeah.
Forces me into the boomstick.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know for me yet what I would say is definitively, but like with how it played this weekend, I was like, oh yeah, like I could definitely see switching to this. Like
yeah.
I liked it a lot. Now, you know, need to go run some, as I work on the full review, I'll do a lot of play testing with other paddles and switching to the boomstick and see what I like and dislike about both. But this whole weekend, I mean, I literally started using the paddle, let me think, that would have been, I think 2 days before the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And decided to switch to it. So that should tell you something. And I wasn't sure where these were going to fall for me once the production models came in, just because there were so many things coming out. You know, I was like, oh man, is this going to be outdated by the time it ships? But I think this is one of the top foam paddles right now. Like yeah. I'm really impressed.
Even though it's the same design as like the others, the Quanta, maybe not the same, very similar design as the Quanta, the V-Sol, it's definitely plays quite different.
Well, one of the differences, I want to say, I don't know 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure both the Quanta and the V-Sol are all carbon fiber. This has fiberglass in the middle. It's CFC.
I see.
Which is probably one of the differences, main reasons it feels different.
Yeah.
But I think that it makes it play really nice.
Helps quite a bit. And
the extra punch is nice.
Granted, they are heavier than the Quanta and the V-Sol stock, but that's also why they play better.
Well, that's what I was going to say is like, when you're looking at something, everyone has said the same thing about the Quanta, which is if you're not going to put weight, then don't buy it.
Yeah.
This, you could definitely play at stock and be fine. I think it plays a little bit better with weight. I mostly added weight because I wanted like a little bit more plow through, just because I feel like wide bodies can often benefit from that a little bit. So I placed the weight, just a little higher up. But if you're someone that's like, I'm not going to fiddle with weight, and you're looking at, I like Loco over a Quanta for sure. If you're going to add weight, then I think the conversation gets a little tricky.
I think out of all the paddles I've mained, this has been the paddle I've added the least amount of weight to for my current setup.
Sure. Because what's your setup on yours?
My current setup is about 6 inches of 0.5 gram per inch from starting at halfway up the throat, up the side.
Oh, yeah. That's not too much weight.
Yeah, it's really not. I didn't add much at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's good out of the box or with weight. I might mess around a little bit. I might even try like a 3 gram pod at the top of this just to see how it plays.
Maybe I think that would help with the wide body a lot more versus like an elongated.
Yeah.
I've always noticed anytime I've set up wide body paddles, not that I do it often, is they benefit so much from adding weight to the head of the paddle.
Yeah, they're already stable, so they just don't really need more weight on the side.
Yeah.
It's more about like making it plow through the ball a little bit better so it doesn't push around as much. But yeah, I think the thing is, when this came out, there was a lot of like comparisons to a boomstick. But again, I don't think it was because it is a boomstick. It's that it sat between an NF and a boomstick in terms of power, and I still think that's exactly where it sits. Like personally, I've loved the J2NF. I think that's a great paddle. I think that would be on this, if I was giving a recommendation, that is more for someone that's like NF and FC plus. You want a good power paddle, but that's not going to like overwhelm you. You don't need crazy soft hands to use it. I think most people could figure it out without too much issue. Loco would be like, you want more firepower and you're a little bit more comfortable with your softer hands. I don't think it's necessarily hard to use, but definitely harder than the FC plus or the NF.
Yeah.
So I'd put those in the power category, a little bit easier to use than this.
Let's be real.
Sure.
The biggest standout difference between this and the NF, the Quanta, the Vsol is it just looks better. Those other paddles don't look that great. Like
it does look good.
The Vsols,
yeah.
I'm sorry, they're just really boring. They're really boring paddles. But
I mean, now that this said, the only thing that's like really makes it stand out a lot is the brown edge guard. Like, there's not a ton of graphics
the color
going
combo,
on this.
not that it has a ton of graphics, but just the color combos look better. There's more. I think it's a cleaner, better design than the other paddles. All the other ones are very either clip art or just not a lot of design thought going into it.
Yeah, Bread and Butter does always do good with the design. You can tell they put a lot of thought into that.
Yeah.
But after that, like, I think if I'm comparing it to like a Vsol, I definitely prefer this over the Vsol. I don't think that makes, when you're talking half the price, right? Like it becomes an order of priority. If I'm talking purely from a performance standpoint, then I like the Loco more. If I'm talking good enough performance and I'm like price matters to me, then the Vsol wins, right? And similar for Quanta, it actually gets a little bit tougher. Quanta with the R2 setup that I have had, I think is an extremely high performing paddle. Like, I think that is definitely one of my favorite foam paddles. I think the thing that the Quanta I have maybe a little trickier time with is it's like almost a little too poppy at times, like for mid-core resets where I feel like I didn't have that issue with this. But I do think that a Quanta at $100, and if you're willing to add the 15 grams of weight, I think will put it in a competitor area of the Loco. They're still going to feel a little bit different, but I think you can get enough of the performance out of that. Whereas like the Vsol, I don't know. Vsol is not bad. It just, Quanta just feels like you can like bring the performance out a little easier.
Sure.
So I don't know. But right now, like, I think, man, what would, like, if I just had to do like a really quick list, what would my top be? It'd be Boomstick and Loco, probably fight for number 1 and number 2. Probably the Quanta with 15 grams of weight next. Maybe the NF. And then I don't know what 5 would be. I'd have to see all the foam paddles in front of me right now because I feel like there's so many now. It's hard to keep track of all of them. But that's probably, only because it's elongated, I probably wouldn't put it up there for me.
Wow.
Need to have a better shape. Get a better shape. QD will learn one day.
That's crazy.
He'll learn. But yeah, I think that's kind of my top 4. So I'm a lot more impressed with this than I thought I was going to be.
The Waves isn't in there?
Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. Okay. Anything else you have to say?
No, I think we covered everything on this.
Yeah.
Just solid paddle.
Yeah, very good. Looking forward to doing a full review on this one, unlike the last paddle I reviewed. Sorry, I had to say it. I'm done now. I'm done being rude. I'm done being rude now. Okay, you made it to the kitchen. Welcome. Have some stuff I want to talk about here. So today we've got some questions and answers, but I also wanted to talk a little bit about my tournament experience. I'm not going to talk that much about the actual matches themselves. You guys will see that in this week's Chasing 5-0 episode if you watch that one. But there were some lessons I learned about myself, and I almost had to like relearn it because I kind of already knew it, but I think it applies for everyone. So men's was first. Men's was on Saturday. Mixed was on Sunday. Going into men's, I think with how much I've been training and drilling and even feeling good about my game, like I can see the improvement. I can see getting better at the things I've been deliberately practicing. I think I started having expectations, like much higher expectations of myself. Like I could tell when I started missing balls that I felt like I should make, I was like getting mad, like much easier. And by the time we were finishing pool play, we went 2-2 in pool play. And both teams we lost to, I think we could definitely beat them, but I wasn't mad about it. It was kind of just like, okay, like this is a good team. I wouldn't be surprised if I lost them. But there were a lot of balls that I was like, dude, like that is not the ball you should miss. Like you've drilled that so many times in recent times. Like what are you doing? And I could see and feel myself like tilting a lot faster. And I wasn't mad at my partner. I was purely just mad at myself. It was just like, dude, make the ball. And so what I learned though is one, when I play that way, I play tight. If I play tight, I play worse. When I am not playing loose or feel like I'm having fun, I will always play worse. Yeah. And that's what happened to this tournament. And I think as a result of me being mad at myself, I feel like my partner probably had a harder time staying in a good mood too. He wasn't in a bad mood, but I think he had a similar thing as me where we were both just kind of down on how we were playing. We both just had a slightly off day. And I think neither of us were really able to pick each other up and like kind of get out of like the mental loop we were in. Like I was so in my head about like, oh man, how'd you miss that serve? How'd you miss this drop? That I remember vividly like some where I just like, I'm like face palming and I'm like, dude, what is going on? So all of that to say, I know that I play better when I play loose. And going into mixed day, I told my partner, I was like, look, okay, I definitely learned a lesson on men's day. And I told her, I was like, just remind me to have a good time. Like forget the expectations, especially because I think with us at our last tournament for mixed, having gone 10-0, it's very easy to have an expectation going into this one. Like, we got to keep that streak alive. How long can we keep this thing going?
Well, especially not only that, but just like you've been putting more work in, you've been drilling a lot more, reviewing game footage, like you've been putting a lot of time and effort in. So just by doing that alone is going to give you more expectations because hitting certain shots and drilling, knowing you've put time and work into hitting these shots and then missing it in a tournament when actually you're trying to apply it and it matters, it's going to feel worse. Yeah. Because then you're like, well, why'd I even put all that time in if I'm just going to miss?
Totally.
Right. So it is definitely difficult to stay in that mindset.
Yeah. And so I told her, I was like, look, let's just keep it loose. Let's go in with no expectation. If you miss, I don't care. And hopefully if I miss, you don't care. and thankfully, she was on the same page. But like, I was just like, let's just have a good time. Let's not worry about it. And that's what we did. And in pool, we went 2-1. We ended up losing to one of the better mixed teams in the state. Tyler and his partner, Sarah, I mean, they've played mixed for forever. And Tyler has played pro with Sammy, and they've done well. So like, going into the match, I was like, okay, we're probably not winning this one. That's
a tough one. You're running into a buzzsaw.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's what happened when we played them. But the difference in my mental was so much better. Even that game, losing that one, I wasn't mad if I missed a ball. I mean, I'm not happy about it, but I didn't let it get to me. And I think having partners that can like keep you loose and be like, hey, just shake it off. It doesn't matter. Like can crack a joke in between. I think that for me, probably not for everyone. I find that helps a lot. And the difference was night and day. Even as we got deeper, we got to the quarterfinals, and that's finally when we lost. Even that game, which was probably the most tense match, I would say, felt like we were still able to like just have a good time. And even when I missed, it was like, whatever, next one. Okay, right? Like just shake it off. It's not a big deal. And I don't know. I think finding ways to stay loose, everyone should try and do that. I mean, know yourself, right? If you're someone who thrives off of intensity and you need to be like yelling and screaming, okay, well, that works for you. But if you don't know, one, figure that out. And if you do know that staying loose helps, like focus on that for sure. Yeah. And find ways to be a better partner. I think really what I learned for Men's Day is that I just let my partner down in that I was so in my head that I couldn't help him out. Or he then has to be worried about like, dude, Chris looks like he's falling apart right now. Like what do I, instead of him focusing on the game, now he's like, how do I pull Chris out of this mess? Yeah. Right. And I kind of feel like that's what happened. So I feel like looking back, if I could change anything, it would just be like, get out of my own head and like, don't worry about it. Right.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
So that was a big one for me. I think, everyone can learn something from that. And I just wanted to read something too from that book, Pickleball Mindset. I had thought about talking about this last week, but it was perfect. I'm glad I saved it for this week because of the tournament. But there was a section of the book that just talks about you as a team. And I thought this was really good because we've all seen so many people do this at tournaments. So here's what the page said. Teams win and lose together. There is no I miss, you miss. It's we miss, we make, we lose, and we win. Sure, your partner may have an off day and make more mistakes, but the second you let yourself off the hook by pointing the finger, you're toast. I don't just mean in the match either. This includes publicly blaming your partner after a loss. As soon as you indulge in the blame game, you've set into effect a negative chain reaction for you, your current partnership, and any future partners who get wind that you're that type of partner. Banning blame from your vocabulary is the only way to grow as a player and, be a decent human. And I think there's like, I've seen it so many times. After a tournament, people go like 0-2 or something. The second they're away from their partner and feel like, oh, how'd it go? They're like, man, my partner couldn't make a single drop today. Like, and that's why when I look at Men's Day, sure, could I probably find some stuff that my partner missed or even on mixed that my partner missed? Yeah, I could. But like, I was also part of the team, right? Like, especially on Men's Day, me getting my head, again, I know I'm repeating myself, but like prevented him from being able to focus on the stuff. So it's like, everyone likes to think sometimes, hey, it's all my partner's fault. Almost always, it is a joint effort, right?
Yeah. We've all done it. We've all been there before.
We've been there, but we probably shouldn't do that.
Definitely shouldn't. It's definitely a habit that we could all kick.
That's for sure something that like I've just eliminated from my thing. Like, that doesn't mean no partner like made a mistake, right? Like even on mixed day in our quarterfinal match, like Mio's like, yeah, like I'll be the first to say like, I feel like I didn't play that awesome that match. And if you look at some PB vision, like there's stuff to back that up, but it's also like, you as a partner, what can you do to bail your partner out from that situation? Like in the middle of our match, one of the things I realized was it was a lefty guy. So I was in front of the guy and then the girl was in front of my partner. And one of the things I realized I was doing a lot is I was afraid of attacking the guy in front of me. So when I got a high ball or like net height, I would attack cross court and it was getting my partner lit up. Like, sure, you could say like, oh, why didn't my partner have faster hands and counter that? But I set them up consistently for a bad play. So then we made the adjustment. I started attacking the guy and we had a much better result. But initially I was just afraid because I figured he had better hands than me. Mm-hmm. And so it's just stuff like that where it's like, okay, well, I was actually part of the problem there. The attacking cross is usually not the play.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. Hopefully people can take something away from that lesson. I feel like I learned something, and for the future PPAs, that was a great lesson to learn.
Yeah.
How can me and my men's partner keep it loose? So, okay. Questions and answers. We had some good ones. First one, how did you improve your footwork? I find myself reaching a lot and I don't have a tennis background. Personally, I wouldn't say my footwork is fixed. I think I still have a long ways to go. I think I've made some improvements, but I really haven't been doing anything crazy. I bought a ladder on Amazon, like a little for ladder drills. They're like $10, $20, something like that. I think those are really helpful. You can find tons of tennis ladder drills. That's all I've been doing. I've got maybe 6 or 7 foot patterns that I use. And to me, when I look at it, I'm like, these movements don't feel that applicable on court. But I think more of what it is to me is just being able to move coordinated with your feet and move quickly. And I also realized that my calves are weak because when I do jump rope, I can't do it for more than like 30 seconds before my calves give out. And some of the ladder drills fry my calves. So I found that it's helping that way. And I do feel like it's improving my footwork on court. But I wouldn't say that I went from like, oh man, my footwork sucks to now all of a sudden Chris's footwork is awesome.
Big thing I'd say is those things are good, right? Ladder drills, jump rope, different agility things. Those help with coordination, speed, agility, that type of stuff. But that's not going to get you to fix like all of a sudden now I'm not reaching anymore, right? The biggest tips I would say for if you struggle with reaching for the ball and not actually getting there, figure out where your contact point should be. Like if I just drop a ball in front of you and hit it, and you don't have to move, your ideal contact point where you should be hitting out in front, good arm's length away, like your body's in the right position, know that contact point, and then when you have to run and get to the ball, you need to recognize how either low it's going to be, how much time you have, and get into your main worry is get into that position where I can have the ball in this contact point early, set up, and then hit the ball, right? Because you don't want to be either hitting on the move or reaching for it. So if you get there early, catch the ball while it's coming up, and then swing in that contact point, just knowing where that contact point and getting there early, that would be my biggest tip for footwork.
And I actually, now that I think about it, I haven't tried one of these, but in the last Chasing 5-0 episode, me and my men's partner, we like put these bands around our arms when we were drilling hands just to keep things more compact. But the other side note of that was interesting and what it taught me, it's kind of what you just said, is like maybe you don't even know what the ideal strike zone is necessarily, but doing that band, I realized how much better my forehand volleys in particular are when my elbow is like tucked to my body because the band is pulling me tight. And so then I was like, okay, well, if I want to hit some of these really well, I'm now realizing that when I'm stretched out, like I hit really bad forehand volleys, especially counterattacks. And so that can kind of force you to go, well, now I have to learn how to move my feet to get into that position. And I feel like that in turn helps your footwork because now you're thinking about like, well, how do I move to that spot?
There's a lot of timing and recognition. Recognizing what balls you are going to have to move your feet for to get into position and the timing it takes to get there. Obviously, you're not always going to be able to, sometimes they catch you off guard and you're going to have to reach, right? Not saying you should never be reaching for the ball because sometimes you have an option. But when you have the time to recognize how far the ball is going to be and the time it takes to get there, and if you do have the time, get in position, set your feet, then hit the ball.
Yeah, totally agree. And I actually saw another, I think it was Johnson Cola had an Instagram video. Same thing with a band. Instead of putting it around your shoulders for hands, he actually put it around like his arms, like up to his elbow for dinking. And I actually think I kind of want to try this because, again, what I learned with forehand dinks is like my ideal strike zone is like the ball has to be like basically between my legs, essentially. Like as soon as on a forehand dink, it gets out past my right leg, I'm going to hit a bad forehand dink or I can't be aggressive with it. Yeah. And by putting that band around your arms, you now can't reach. So now, again, you got to move your feet.
Zane actually has a great video on this, getting jammed and caught out on your dinking.
We don't talk about this man on this pod. That man has disrespected me too many times.
You might have beef with Zane, but Zane and I have a great relationship. All right, I'm a fan. Zane, we're chill. But he talks a lot about getting the same thing you just said is setting up early and making sure that your outside foot is always outside of the ball. The second you're making contact with the ball outside of your feet, bad position. You can't do as much. You lose your options, your bad form. Everything just goes downhill. So moving your feet, and that's something I've been working on a lot recently. So yeah, footwork is definitely very important, but it's all about moving early, I would say.
Yep. All right, next one. I thought this one was kind of a funny one, but I did have a serious answer, especially just because there was a gaming reference in here. But it was, what are your tips for raising DUPR if you started in ELO hell going to a tournament too early? ELO is essentially just, for those of you who don't know, it's just, just think DUPR. It's just
what
a
your
rating
rank
system.
is.
Yeah. Anyways, this is a funny one because I've definitely heard people say this, and I'm not going to say that it isn't a real thing, right? If you start in let's just say you were a 3-5 and you happen to start in a 5-0 tournament, your DUPR after that tournament is probably going to be higher than if you started in a 3-5 tournament because you're playing against better players, and if you happen to score like a couple points, they're like, well, maybe these guys are decent. They're probably not 5-0s, but maybe they're... It seems like historically, if you start your first tournament in a higher bracket, your DUPR ends up higher than if you started in a lower bracket. Yeah. And did decent. Okay. Now, I'm sure it is hard to grind out when you get stuck like that. But personally, my thought with this is that probably just means you're not playing that well. If you can't get out of that, if you truly believe, let's say you think you're a 4-5 player and somehow your DUPR's stuck at 3-6, and you're playing tournament after tournament after tournament and you're not going up, I'm sorry, but you might just not be as good as you think.
That is true.
Because my DUPR was at 4.5. I have 200 plus games all over the country. I've played in Florida. I have played in Texas. I have played in California. I've played in all the states that people are like, these are the best. So like my DUPR is very well connected all over the country, right? The tournament that I played for the first episode of Chasing 5-0, I went 15-2, 15-3 or something was my win record, which is the best I've had in like probably ever. And my DUPR basically jumped a quarter point with 100% reliability and probably more matches than a lot of people listening to this pod. So to me, I'm like, if you win and you play well, your DUPR will go up.
Yep.
At the end of the day, you just got to play well. So to me, I'm like, when people talk about this whole ELO health thing, I'm like, I just don't know if I buy it.
Mm-hmm.
You're just not winning.
Yeah, if your rating is a 3.6 and you believe you're a 4.0 or a 4.5 and you go to a tournament and you're beating 4.0s and 4.5s, there's no reason why it should be stuck.
Yeah.
So
you will just go up.
Exactly. And if you're winning 3.5 tournaments and you're really not going up, then why are you still playing 3.5 tournaments?
Yeah.
Probably just move up.
Yeah.
So
right. You might be playing DUPRs that are too low, so you're not gaining anything from it. If you're
especially now with the new system where you can win and go down.
Right. If you're a 3.8 and you're playing 3.2s and you're winning that tournament, okay, you're not going to get much. You were expected to win.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's kind of my, I guess, like serious, half cynical answer. But to me, it just comes down to winning.
We started way down there. I think mine, when I started my DUPR was 3.3.
I really wish you could see like the absolute historic, like all the way back, because I don't remember what mine started at. I'm sure I started below a 3.5.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure. So, all right, next one. What makes a paddle have a higher skill ceiling? So we've talked about this before, and we've even talked about paddles, and maybe that's something that happens more in the future. Personally, to me, it mostly comes down to, I would say, one thing. Because if I look at paddles in the past that I would have classified as a higher skill ceiling paddle, it almost always comes back to the sweet spot. If you look at the 002 for the time it was launched, I would say compared to a lot of paddles, it was a smaller, tighter sweet spot. It was also, I guess another thing that could go into it is very poppy, very powerful, right? That can be harder for newer players to control because they don't have the mechanics for it. So those like three things, powerful, poppy, small sweet spot, that was the 002 at the time. Unquestionably the most powerful paddle at the time.
Yep. And
you get punished if you missed. That to me is kind of what contributes to it. These days we're getting a lot of paddles that like kind of like look at the boomstick. Very poppy, very powerful, huge sweet spot. Probably the biggest sweet spot on the market right now. And then, I would say you have something like the waves where clearly higher level people can take advantage of it, even though it has a smaller sweet spot. I personally don't feel like the waves gives you anything that other paddles can't with better attributes, but there are clearly people who like it and feel like it works for them. But to me, I feel like with the waves, you have to be a better player. You can't take advantage of what it has to offer unless you can hit the sweet spot consistently.
It's interesting. I almost feel like I agree with what you said. The only thing I'll add to it is, so like you said, I think sweet spot is probably one of the biggest contributing factors to what makes a paddle require higher skill ceiling. And then after that is definitely pop and power. Pop is probably next. If you have a really poppy paddle, like obviously there are lower level people that like the paddle tech, but I do think that is a much more difficult paddle to control, even if it had a bigger sweet spot, just because of how poppy it is. So easy to pop up dinks, right? If you have too big of a swing, too quick, all these things. Oh shoot, I'm losing my point. Where'd it go in my head?
Dig it out.
I'm losing. Oh, okay. So the boomstick, I feel like almost gives a false sense because its sweet spot is so big. I feel like it gives a false sense of usability where I would not tell somebody who's a 3.5 or 4.0, oh yeah, it's got a huge sweet spot. Here's a boomstick. Use this.
Sure.
Right. Because it's such a big sweet spot, it makes it feel like it's easy to use, but it is not at all. The boomstick is I would say it's a higher skill ceiling paddle because how touchy it can be and how poppy and powerful, even though, yeah, you can swing and you miss a little, still feels good and it's going to accelerate and have the same amount of power as if you hit the center of the sweet spot. That doesn't deny the fact that you still need to have good soft hands to reset. You still need to have good mechanics on your swing to keep the ball in, because you give this to a 3-5 who has a really big, wild swing, they're not keeping a single ball on the court.
Well, see, what I would say, though, is like of really poppy and powerful paddles, like, for example, let's take a Gearbox Pro Power Elongated, which pretty much takes all three of the things I just talked about being difficult: super poppy, tiny sweet spot, and powerful. Like, if I had a choice of giving people one that was easier to use, I'm giving them a boomstick.
Well, sure.
Like,
but that's just saying, like...
But I think of recent really powerful paddles, I do think... Well, I agree that and my recommendation has been, I wouldn't recommend this unless you're a slightly better player, because I think it's touchy. Like, I think there are paddles you could probably use better overall, but I do think the boomstick is on the surprisingly easier side to use for what it is.
Sure, I can agree with that. But it's still a harder paddle to use, right? It's the easiest of the hard paddles to use. So I wouldn't classify the boomstick as an easy paddle.
No, definitely not.
Not at all.
No, yeah.
So, yeah, okay, we agree.
Yeah, so to me, it's kind of those factors. And, like, you know, all the lines are, like, getting blurred together a little bit. But I do think poppy paddles, like, a lot of times get people in trouble. They're super fun.
Yeah.
You clean a counter or something. It's like, oh, it's like the high is like amazing.
Anytime you add steps in pop and power, and then whatever the sweet spot is, this the more difficult it gets to use, right? If we're comparing a Valère Mach 2 Forza to a boomstick wide body.
Yeah.
Right. All you did, like, sweet spots are probably pretty similar, but you just added a ton of pop and power. They're in completely different categories in ease of use.
For sure.
Right. I would not recommend a 3.5 to use a boomstick, but I would recommend the Mach 2 Forza.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, next up. This one, I just kind of thought this was funny because I relate to this experience so much.
Same.
But why is it when you play against players down in level, you start making mistakes? See, it's funny. Well, I think there probably is an element of you are making mistakes because you feel like you don't have to try as hard. But what I actually find it is because, like, I've thought this for, I don't know, probably a couple years. I feel better with higher level players because a lot of times the game feels way more predictable, or I feel like I know what it should be. Like, okay, everyone's objective here is probably going to get to the kitchen. We're probably going to dink a good amount. And, like, people at the higher levels, like, a lot of times have respect for each other's hands. So even if I have weaker hands, if I'm in the game, like, a lot of times people are just more willing to dink longer. So it's like, okay, I kind of know where things are going, and maybe a speed up's a tiny bit more predictable. Sometimes when you go down a level or two, you're like, nothing makes sense. You're speeding a ball up off your shoelace that you should never speed up. And while you should probably always be ready for that, I'm like, no one would do that at the higher level. Like, why would you do that?
There's a few elements to this, I think, and I agree 100% with that. One, I think a big part is the mental aspect. You're like, this should be so easy. And I just think you don't try as hard, and you make more mistakes and errors that way, and it just causes a chain reaction, and you start getting frustrated, and you're just not playing as well when you think you should be beating somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the element of, like you said, unpredictability. People at lower levels have more wild swings, not as predictable form, like different shot selection that you would not expect. Like, you're expecting somebody to hit a reset or, a dink, and they're swinging wild off their shoelace, and you're just not expecting it, right? And typically people have, like, this isn't true across all levels at the high level, but with all players. But usually form-wise is definitely much more consistent.
Yeah, there's less unorthodox form.
Yes, there's way weirder swing paths and wild swings and all kinds of stuff the lower level you get, right? And it's just harder to read sometimes.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, definitely harder to read.
And one thing I've noticed that happens all the time is, say somebody's in the midcourt and they're taking a wild big swing. I'm like, I'm getting out of the way of this thing. They're missing this, right? And all of a sudden, they shank it and don't hit the center of the paddle, and it's got no power, and it stays in the court. That happens all the time. It's probably one of the most frustrating things ever. I'm like, the way you were swinging, that thing should have gone to the next district over.
Yeah.
And somehow it stays in the court. So
totally,
that's why I would say. But I can definitely relate to this.
But I'm sure this applies to all levels. So we got to play with Tyra what is this, like week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago now, and I could already tell, just like, I think I even hit a ball, like I hit a speed up really poorly. It was pretty high. And I think maybe the next point my partner hit one that was kind of high, like, you know, probably Tyra's like neck, maybe head height, just like, it's just a bad ball. And I feel like she just made some comment like, oh my gosh, these are all so high.
So I was playing with her and you had hit a drive that went like over my head, and we both dodged and looked at each other and kind of laughed. And then I think your partner hit a speed up that was low and it went like over her head or something. And we both turned, looked at each other again, laughed. And then she goes, man, they're trying to take our heads off.
Yeah. So even like, you know, when we're saying this, we're not saying this like, oh man, we are the elite players. This applies all the way up. Like
100%.
Like a James Ignatowich looking at Isaac is going to be like, what are you doing?
Oh yeah.
You know? So like there's tiers to this.
I had this conversation with, it was either Ben or Colin when we went to the Yola event for the Gen 3.
Yep.
I was playing with him. We were talking. He goes, yeah, he's like, playing with 5.0s is way like scarier than playing with pros. Not because they hit harder, but because it's just way less predictable. Yeah. I don't know where the ball is going. He's like, it's not as consistent and not as good. Like if pros consistently hit the drive, not always, obviously, but you know, 5-8 inches above the net, I don't do that all the time. My drive might be at your head. Yeah. So it's the same thing anytime you go up in level. We're not trying to like shame or make
like
fun
being
of
elitist thing.
Not at all. I'm not perfect. Like pros find me the same way. Like I'm playing with 4.0, like when I'm playing with you.
Hey, yo, chill.
So yeah, definitely not trying to be elitist or make fun of any levels or anything. Like this applies to us as well.
Yeah. Like I think you could literally find this from a 3.5 thinks this is about a 3.0. A 4.0 thinks this about a, you know, like it just keeps going up the ladder.
I'm sure Ben says the same thing about Brandon French. I don't know.
Yeah, you know, who knows? Okay, last one we got. I thought this was a great one. Any tips on keeping pickleball fun and not too serious to enjoy the sport? I think there's a lot of like active things you kind of have to think about this. One, you have to just know what it is you're trying to get out of pickleball.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't really know what it is you want, it's really hard to find ways to keep it fun and not serious, right? Because, and I have the same thing, like I want to keep pickleball fun, but there are also things I am doing that make it very serious. One, it's a job for me. That makes it serious. Two, chasing 5.0. There's like a clock ticking here. That makes it a little more serious. But you have to find and keep in mind other things that keep it fun and loose for you. Like the other day, I got asked to play the day before the tournament. I didn't really want to play. I kind of wanted to take a rest day, but it was with some friends that I hadn't really seen in a bit, and I really like playing with them. And, you know, the level's great. Like, everything about it's great. I just kind of wanted a rest day, and I was like, you know what? This probably just put me in a good mood just to see these people. I'm going to go. You know, it wasn't, and they even said, look, we're going to play some light games. We're not playing that hard. We're not playing that serious. And I was like, I'm doing this because it'll just be fun and good for me mentally, not because I'm really doing it to get better. And so I just knew in that day, that's what my objective was. You kind of just have to know what the objectives are to figure out how to keep it more fun for you. But to me, you try and not take it that serious, right? Like we were playing the tournament on mixed day. My mixed partner and her husband, they both play League. We'd finish a point sometimes and walk over to the sideline, and her husband would make a League reference. It would make me laugh. Like, I just made me take it way less serious.
Yeah.
I was like, this is awesome.
Well, just recognizing when you're playing, like if you are a tournament player, recognizing when you're playing rec or drilling, when it's rec for the sake of practicing for a tournament.
Yes.
And everyone's on the same page.
Yes.
And rec when everyone's there to be social, have fun. Like you said the other day before the tournament, you were just there to have fun, be relaxed, not take it that serious. Like, I've fallen victim of it, like taking rec games too seriously, right? I think we all have, you know, and just being in a completely different mood. Like, if I lose a hands battle in a rec, it's not that serious, right? Yeah. Like, yeah, it sucks, but like, we're just having fun. Yeah. Now, if it's like me getting ready for a tournament, it's different, and we're all on the same page of getting ready for a tournament, practicing and training. It's different than just playing with your buddies.
And I think that helps. Even recently, my men's partner, when he's come over or we've set games up, he's like, okay, look, here's how we're going to do this. The first game is going to be a warm-up game. Everyone we all warm up, and then we play a game just to get everything out. And then we play a best 2 out of 3 like it's a tournament. And then every game after that, people can experiment, do whatever they want. It's not that serious. Like, you're still trying to improve, but those 2 games or 2 out of 3, we know everyone wants that win. You're going to play it like you're going to do whatever it takes to win the match and then shift the mindset. So I think when you go to a session, know what mindset you need to be in. Because I think a lot of times people click the wrong mindset. They show up to an open play rec at a park and they're like, I'm here to kill everybody. I'm going to win every single game.
Yeah.
And then everyone's there with like a speaker and they're just trying to have like fun. And everyone's like, why is this guy taking this so, like, calm down.
Yeah.
So just know, I think that helps a lot. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, just take a break, right?
Yeah.
Like a break is a good way to, I have to think about this. Things that I really like doing, I'm like, even if I could do this every single day, like let's say I am literally capable of doing whatever that thing is every day, sometimes maybe not doing that is good because you'll want it more. If I could only play pickleball once a week, I'm probably going to be really, really excited to play when I get to play that once a week. You know?
I mean, I've taken many breaks from pickleball. It's definitely good and healthy to take breaks, especially if you play a lot and just kind of reset your mindset on things.
Yeah.
And yeah, just recognizing when to laugh at things. You have a goofy, fun point, like, not going to spoil anything, but we have a recording of you warming up for the tournament with your partner, and just this goofy sequence of events happened and made your partner look a little silly and like not taking it serious. We're all laughing about it like it's funny. Yeah. Just like you get body bagged or something, like, yeah, it sucks, but just know when to laugh about it.
Yep. Totally agree.
It's probably the best way to just keep things lighthearted and fun.
Yep. So that's our advice. But anyways, you guys made it to the end of the kitchen. Good job. Don't have any homework for you this week.
No homework. What's the word? What's the word this week?
Ooh, what is the word?
This one's tough.
We got to think about this before. We always do this. We always get to the end and then we don't have a word. We got to think of something quick.
AI.
What the?
PB Vision, AI.
Yeah, sure, fine.
It's not a very good one. We slacked.
We kind of dropped
week.
The ball there. We missed our third.
We did.
We missed our third. We had a high put away and we missed it.
I don't know. I think that would be funny. I think some people can implement that one in some funny comments.
Yeah, works for me.
So,
all right. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you next week.
Peace.